Hi, my name's Steve Bone. I've been a special education teacher for 5 years, focusing mainly on phonics. And today I'm going to be doing a lesson using the Orton-Gillingham method. And one of the things I like about this method is that it was designed for students with dyslexia. And dyslexia makes information travel through the brain differently than a person without it. And so there's many different ways we use to input the information into the brain. Into visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile means to help students learn this information. Now, using this program, they start on the letter C. So there's going to be no other letters taught before this, no other sounds. This is something to be done at the beginning of kindergarten. Some students at this point may have never even been introduced to what a letter is. So we're really setting the foundations for reading at this point. Right, today we're going to start talking about letters. And you've seen letters everywhere. You've seen them on TV, you've seen them in books, you've seen them around the classroom, you've seen them on street signs, you've seen them on stores. But did you know letters have sounds? Right? They make sounds. Think of animals. Let's take a look at this over here. What animals do you see? Oh, yeah, see these piggies? What sound do pigs make? That's right, oink. What sound do sheep make? Bah. Awesome. Right? What sound do roosters make? Cock-a-doodle-doo. Right? Very good, thank you. Well, letters are the same way. Every letter makes a sound. And the very first letter we're going to talk about is we're going to have to listen to first. Let's see if you can listen to what sound this letter makes. I'm going to read you a sentence, and I want you to listen for the sound the letter makes. You're going to hear this sound 3 times in what I say. So turn your ears up and let's listen. Cow cooks carrots. Okay, listen to this one. You're going to hear this sound 5 times in this sentence. Crispy, crunchy, cookies can crumble. Oh yes, you hear the k sound. Now the letter that goes with the k sound is the letter C. I'm sure you've seen this a bunch of different places. Can you say C? Okay, good. Can you say C says k? Okay. Thank you very much. Now, we're looking at farm animals. There's an animal that begins with the letter C. The first sound for this animal in this animal's name is k. Who can tell me what animal this is? That's right, it's a cat. What's the very first sound in the word cat? K. Good. Right. So up next, we're going to learn how to draw this letter. This is where I'd hand out paper for the kids. Let me fix that. There we go. Right. Now, depending on the student, you may or may not want to put some dotted lines on here first, or use a highlighter to trace it. Given the population I work with, this is their very first time, I almost always highlight it. So it would look like this. All right, so the letter C, if we look at our house, the letter C starts right up top by the roof right up here, and it'll come all the way down, and it'll touch the floor, and it'll come back up. All right, now let me see you write the letter C. And as you do it, I would like you to say, C says K. So the students would do it, and they'd say, C says K. All right, good job, everyone, doing your letter C one time. And I'd go through, I'd give feedback on the writing at this point. I say, okay, I would like you to do it 3 more times. C says K. C says K. And C says K. Right. Very good job. I would like you to look at my example on the board, and I would like you to circle your C that looks the most like the example on the board, and then put a little star above it. Okay, very nice handwriting, good job. So we said cat starts with a K sound. Let's see if we can think of anything else that begins with K. So at this point we would brainstorm some words, and you can expect a lot of students to use words from the sentences that you read. So I would have a C written down right here. Oh, I forget the transparency. That's why it's so light. Alright, who can think of a word that begins with C, with the K sound? And you'll hear cat. At this point, one of the students might get excited because they hear cat and they might say dog. If you get one with the wrong answer, that's fine. You can just write up on the top over here and go dog. Let's look at the word dog. Does dog begin with the K sound? Does it begin with the letter C? So that way the students can see that it does not. Alright, and over here they can see that this word, yes, does begin with the letter C, begins with the K sound. And you go around, you probably get cookie. Alright, cup. And take 3 or 4 words. Alright, good job. So now what I would like to do is I would like to read a story that has some C's in it. And as we read, I really want you to listen for that sound. And every time you hear the K sound, raise your hand. Okay, when are you going to raise your hand? When you hear the, and have the students repeat the K. And you say, what says K? And they say, C. And you go, C says what? And they go, C says K. Alright, so then they're thinking about it from both directions. Alright, so remember, when you hear K, raise your hand. Right. Cody the dog, Cody sheds. That's the title. Again, you can also use this part to point out, here's the title page. The title tells us a little about what's going to happen in the story, and you really talk about books. And this is kindergarten. You open up the book, you show the cover, you show how you turn books, you're going to point the words and follow along. All right, so Cody sheds. And at the beginning of the story, you're probably going to want to model raise your hand every time you say k, hand. Okay. Cody sheds on my bed. Cody sheds on my seat. Cody sheds on my couch. Cody sheds on my rug. Right. As you go on, you gotta start to pick up the pace on. Cody sheds on my pants. Cody sheds on my shirt. And you're looking at the class as you're doing this to see who's raising their hand and who's not raising their hand. Cody sheds. And then we'll stop right there. And if I have time, I'll go back into the book and have students come point. All right, do you see a letter C? And I'd have them come point to a letter, or if it's on a smartboard, even circle it with one of the markers. Right? Even if you're projecting on a whiteboard, have them circle with the marker. Okay, and as they do it, have them say, C says K. And this gets the class moving, gets them up and down, walking around. And I was like, okay. So in future lessons, we're going to be using this card. This is one of our sound cards. And when we say C says K, there's a hand image I like to do with it. You know, like cameras. K, K. When you take a picture with a camera, it goes K, K. And remember, class, what does C say? K. C says K. And that would be the end of our lesson. If you wanted to do some homework with them, they could create something, draw a picture that begins with the K sound. They could build something that begins with the K sound. All right, but any way you can incorporate that sound into their everyday activities. All right. If this was helpful, say what you liked about it in the below. If it wasn't helpful, say something that you would like to see, or a different topic you'd like me to address or talk about. And thank you very much for watching. I lost my mouse. Oh, there we are.